there, gamers. Who's ready to plug in and play? When I say gamer, no, I'm not talking about the people living in their mom's basement, burning their tongue on pizza rolls. That's a thing of the past. I'm here today to talk about all the good gaming can bring to everyone sitting in this room. Recently, I traveled to Oakland, California to help run a gigantic video game tournament. This was the first major fighting event for the newly released game Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. With over 3,000 individual competitors spread across 10 games, a 50,000 square foot venue, and a theater much like this one for the finals. This tournament was a huge success. I was in charge of one of the main games at the event and wanted to treat our attendees to a little something out of the ordinary. We decided to cater a midnight snack, and since chicken nuggets are 10 for $1, naturally, we bought 1,200. This wasn't the biggest surprise of all, though. One of the players' parents reached out to us to see if she could bring a cake for the tournament's attendees. I was a little worried she didn't realize how big our part of the event was, but said, sure, why not? As if on cue, the minute the nuggets show up, the mom is there with not one, but 2 100-person cakes from her bakery business. But this was just the beginning. Somehow, all the attending players' parents gravitated together to form a soccer mom-like pack. I felt like I was back at the YMCA, where the parents were making sure the whole team had snacks and was constantly warming up. Now, most of the players' parents didn't know exactly how the game was played, but guess what? That doesn't matter. What matters is these parents are out here supporting what makes their kids happy. So, what role do I play in these communities? When asked what I do, the easy answer is that I run video game tournaments. But if you want to get a little more technical, my team and I are responsible for the proposal process, development, preparation, and execution of gaming events. This includes managing efficiency with respect to timeliness, budgets and expenses, motivating staff and volunteers, and putting out any number of fires. Currently, I am a senior event director for Endgame TV, a small startup I help incorporate alongside 4 incredibly talented individuals to serve the growing Nintendo video game community. Over the past few years, my team and I have worked to build up Endgame TV's reputation to be a top provider of quality events for Nintendo's colorful squid-based shooter Splatoon. Now, what is Splatoon? Think traditional shooting game, but styled more like an old Disney cartoon. Instead of people, there's squids. They don't shoot guns, they shoot ink. It's weird, but the best things often are. Take a look. Once each player presses start, they are placed onto a team and have the goal of outpainting another squad to secure different objectives. Because of this online community, I've been able to host the first in-person Splatoon event in Chicago, host our largest event to date in Wisconsin, and this past summer, serve as a travel manager for an international gaming summit in Tokyo, Japan. Now, I know the majority of you have never attended a video game tournament, but level with me. How many of you were playing Words with Friends or on your phone before this event? Come on. Or how many of you load up Clash of Clans every day to get that bonus? Gaming has no age limit because everyone stands to benefit from it. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what game you play. It matters what you learn along the way. For me, I've learned how to come into my own, have a career running events I love, and help people discover one of the most important things gaming can do: find your passions. I run an online forum for our events, and about a year ago, I was messaged by a player wanting to attend our water park tournament in Wisconsin. He said, "Hey, I really want to go, but I've never flown before, and I'm afraid I'm not old enough to do so alone." Since you have to be 12 to fly by yourself, I asked him how old he was. He said, 23. I messaged back the player and I asked him if he'd ever done something like this before. He told me this gaming event would be his first time leaving his hometown. But he was so passionate about not wanting to let his team down in competition, he finally had the courage and drive to go out of the only place he'd ever known. For some, gaming is the only time they feel confident enough to share new experiences and grow as a person. I see playing games a lot like rec football or community theater. It's a place for passionate people to find their voice. Now, not many of you know the name Charles Whitehead. For now, this up-and-coming video game commentator practically fell in love with Splatoon when he saw the game's initial release trailer. Alongside his roommate, the duo pushed each other to practice and improve, and soon formed a competitive team. Finally, Charles felt ready enough to attend an endgame TV tournament as a competitor. He thought simply playing at the event would be enough for him. Yet, when push came to shove, I was low on available talent and thrust him onto the mic to commentate. After that, he was hungry. Charles pushed himself to practice video game commentary anywhere he could. He told me this feeling of performance and live involvement made him feel fulfilled in a way he had never felt before, and had no intention of letting this opportunity pass him by. Hard work pays off, and Nintendo of America took notice. Not even 2 years later, Charles is on stage commentating the 2018 Nintendo World Championships in front of, 100,000 people. Because of gaming, Charles found more than a career. He found his voice. While we can't all become the next ESPN commentator of tomorrow, when you make the decision to attend a video game tournament, you're going as more than just a player. Your voice matters as a member of that community. Now, when you look at everything gaming has to offer, these communities are so strong because they give people the chance to learn valuable life lessons, share dank memes, learn from casuals and pros alike, and for more people than you'd expect, find love. One of the sweetest people I've ever met, Poco, is a Splatoon player from Japan. With unmatched paint roller squashing skills, Poco joined one of the top teams in the game with me a few years ago. Unfortunately, a few months into playing, we learned Poco had been diagnosed with a brain tumor. While this tumor never stopped her from enjoying life, it did eventually become terminal. But Poco never gave up, and neither did we. In the face of this tragedy, the Splatoon community banded together like nothing you had ever seen. From fan art to community-created messages and poems, everyone reached out to show their love and support for Poco. I don't know who started it, but all of a sudden, the most incredible thing began happening. Everyone, and I mean everyone, began adding 2 hearts to their username in Poco's favorite colors, green and purple. These hearts flooded Twitter and community timelines, and it was impossible for Poco to miss how loved she was as she went into that final surgery. Now, this procedure was experimental at best. With an under 10% success rate, we all held our breath that last day. But sometimes, miracles aren't meant to be. Though she later passed away, Poco never stopped loving gaming and the community that rallied behind her. Every single person that reached out to Poco was just that, a real person. Just because a relationship is online doesn't make it any less meaningful. It doesn't matter if your community spans the globe or a neighborhood. The impact doesn't change. Gaming can and does breed a causative change. If used to a fault, of course it can be a time waster, but so can anything else. It's fun to pick up a controller, but the magic really exists when you realize the valuable life lessons and opportunities gaming can bring. Because, like it or not, gaming is here to stay. People aren't just playing games, they're watching them too, on a massive scale. This video game tournament, this isn't uncommon. Thousands upon thousands of spectators fill stadiums like Madison Square Garden to cheer on their favorite pro players as they battle for championship titles. Believe it or not, Counter-Strike's World Championships peaked at more viewers than Sunday Night Football when they premiered in the same time slot. And these are more than just titles. Fortnite, which, if you know any child under the age of 15, I'm sure you can agree is insanely popular right now, pledged over $100 million to tournaments in 2018. And with all this money and publicity, online gaming is only going to get bigger. I mean, the city of Atlanta just paid $30 million for their first sponsored gaming team, the Atlanta Reign. This gaming team is already worth, what? Almost half of what the city paid for the Atlanta United soccer team 2 years ago? Think of what the future holds. So, why does this matter? Am I telling you to become the next gaming legend of tomorrow? You can, but gaming's about a lot more than a high score. It's about appreciating what playing games does for so many of your peers. It's fun to sit down and plug in, but what you need to consider is what I challenge you with this. Make it your goal to support each other regardless of how different your interests may be. There are whole other worlds waiting just outside of our comfort zones, and whether the last game you touched was Atari, or if you've never played a video game at all, when you see these communities that help so many people find their passions, find their voice, I know you too will be ready to press start. Thank you.